Hello, good morning. Happy World Usability Day. As Dean said, I work for a Microsoft IT UX team. So we work for line of business applications. Our users are Microsoft employees and vendors and partners. So we deliver solutions like finance tools, HR tools, and business intelligence, sales marketing, those kind of tools. So personally, I have been studying financial analysts for the last 3 years. Today, I want to share a story, a financial analyst experience, a large corporation like this. And what we have learned, I just want to share with you in case if you ever create any experience for a financial analyst in a company, so maybe you can follow some of our learnings. So when we started engaging this project, we were told that, okay, we need to create a good experience for a financial analyst in Microsoft. Okay. Then we said, okay, where are our users? We started asking, okay, what are the users are going to do, and when can we go and talk to them? Can we observe them? So then we got answers that no, these users are very busy. They are across the globe. They are not in Redmond. They may be multiple locations. So you don't need to disturb them. We have requirements. Why don't you design for requirements? So as a typical UX person, it is hard to design an experience just looking at the requirements without knowing what is the context of the user, right? So we badly want to observe the user in the context of how their world is, how they are using these tools. So we need to convince our stakeholders to get access to the users. So we spent quite an amount of time about that. And then one fine morning, one of our colleagues said, hey, we got access to the users. Can we go and talk to them? So we sat with this bunch of folks. And by end of the meeting, we realized that those are our user stakeholders and also the user representatives, not the real users. So because they feel that these people are very busy and the time pressured, we should not disturb them. And again, we had to spend time with them negotiating. So finally, we got access to the users. So today, we are going to peek into that experience, what we have gone through with the financial analyst in Microsoft. So here is Anna. She's a financial analyst in Microsoft. She has been working here for almost 6 years in various groups. Her day job is to manage the Microsoft forecasting, planning, and also the budgeting, tracking those budgeting, and those kind of chasing through the numbers. That is her day job. So you're going to hear this number throughout my presentation. So basically, she's dealing with the finances, so I'm going to refer them as numbers. So when we sat with Anna, and we have used kind of methods like one-on-one interviews with them, and also remote interviews with them, and contextual inquiry kind of methods we used. So when we met with Anna, first thing what we learned is that she is dealing with the complex process. It is a typical rhythm of the business process any large size of company like this goes through. Like, how much money you're going to make next year, what kind of products you're going to sell, where the money is going to come. You need to plan those ahead of the time, which could be 6 months, 1 year ahead, or 2 years ahead. So it is a typical complex process. Even though she is not directly involving, some of those Annas may be directly involving, may not be involving, but she's impacted with this process. So basically, she has to go through, she has to experience that process, waiting from somebody to get those numbers as well. So the next thing what we learned is that she also deals with many people in the company. So for this presentation's sake, I'm saying just one Anna, but there are many type of roles who works in the financial rhythm of the business. It could be controllers, it could be analysts, it could be executives who are managing the subsidiaries. So basically, she needs to get the numbers, finances. If she needs to enter the number in the systems, basically, she's going to wait for that number from multiple people. So at times, when she enters this number in the system, those may not be tallied, but she's accountable with that. So at times, she feels that she's like a historian. Who gave you this number? In what meeting we agreed to do this, make this much of money? Why we are not able to tally here? So even though she's not directly, may not be directly involving in finalizing these numbers, but she's impacted by this many people decisions, what they make about it. So the next thing what we learned is that a big company like this is spread across the globe. the world is small with the technology, but at times when you're deep in this process, it feels like very large. So when you're making planning for the next year or the following year, you need to consider the geopolitical, geoeconomical situations. Something may happen somewhere in the world that may be impacted. What is the numbers you planned? Or maybe you might have set some expectations to your shareholders that, okay, we're going to make this much money. But in the middle of the year, somewhere in the world might have happened something, you may not be able to make money. Or maybe you need to make adjustments during your throughout the year in your process. So basically, Anna is dealing with the distant locations and as well as a distant number. The next thing is, here is very interesting part is, we thought, okay, she is working with only one tool where we can just revamp and just redesign that. That's what we wanted to do, right? When we sat with the Anaylysts, what we have found that she is using multiple systems. Is she using the multiple systems for multiple tasks? No. She is repeating the task in multiple systems because these systems organically grown in the organization, and these systems might have developed from different groups. So those systems don't talk to each other, right? So she needs to enter the same number in kind of different systems because she has to finish the job. And also, as our keynote speaker said, Mike, the performance is important with this system. So eventually, she is dealing with the huge data, big Excel files. So those files taking time. Maybe she needs to copy paste. The other very important thing what we learned is that copy paste is the most repetitive task they do in these Excel files, and they live and breathe in the Excel. So we thought of designing something, an application, but eventually what we learned is that the application may not work. So anything we want to do with the Anaylysts, Excel is the best way, so because they are experts in the Excel. Anyway, we ended up designing a plug-in to the Excel. But what we have learned is that she deals with the multiple tools and the performance of the tools and with the large amount of the data with those tools as well. So the next thing is we learned she deals with the time. Time in the sense of once the financial calendar is set, at large, it does not change much, maybe one day here and there. But if she needs to report by a certain day, like March 31st, it has to happen, no matter whether she is waiting for the numbers from somebody else, or maybe something is happening in somewhere in a distant location, or maybe the tool is not working, the tool performance is slow, it doesn't matter. So from outsiders, for us, we felt like, okay, she's dealing with the time pressure. When we asked Anna that, for her, she's not feeling the time pressure. For her, it is a normal thing. But for outsiders, we may think that, okay, she has to finish these things by this time. That's not the case. So basically, what we have learned is that throughout these observations, tools is just a part of her job. So she has to deal with the time and multiple locations and the process and the people and all these things. So at any time, if you are ever want to create an experience to the financial analyst, so you need to understand the context of the user, what is their process looks like, that may be helpful to you make the decision. So as I said earlier, when we gave these findings to our stakeholders, that kind of eye-opener to them. Because earlier they thought, okay, they will create an application, but by understanding their context, the whole conversation has changed. So the end of the day, the stakeholders were also happy. And also we learned that by the amount of time we spend with the users, you may spend the same amount of time convincing with your stakeholders as well. So I hope you learned something from this, and thank you very much for listening.